This heartfelt English story will make you cry in a good way. Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak in English. I'm so glad you're here today because I have a story to share with you that's going to tug at your heartstrings. It's one of those stories that you won't be able to forget, and yes, it will make you cry, but in the best possible way. We all love a good story, right? But sometimes, it's the emotional ones that leave the biggest impact on us. This is a story about love, loss, and the incredible power of human connection. It's the kind of story that reminds us why we should cherish every moment with the people we love. So, grab some tissues, just in case, get comfortable, and let's dive into this heartfelt English story that I promise will make you feel all the feels. Ready? Let's go. This story takes place in a quiet little village, far away from the hustle and bustle of the city. It's the kind of place where everyone knows each other, and life moves at a slower pace. In this village, there was a couple, Margaret and Thomas, who had been married for over 50 years. They were the heart of the town. Everyone knew them as the loving couple who always had a smile on their faces and a kind word for anyone who passed by. They had built a life together, raised children, and shared countless memories over the decades. But what made their love story truly special was not just the years they spent together, but the deep, unwavering bond they shared. They were more than just husband and wife. They were best friends, soulmates, and partners in every sense of the word. And their story? Well, it's one that will stay with you long after you hear it. One day, things took an unexpected turn. Thomas, who had always been healthy and full of energy, suddenly fell ill. At first, it seemed like a minor issue, maybe just a cold or some fatigue. But as the days went by, his condition worsened. He became weaker, more tired, and soon, he was unable to leave the house. Margaret, always the strong one, tried to stay positive. She cared for him with the same love and devotion she had shown him for years. But soon, the doctors delivered a heartbreaking diagnosis. Thomas had a rare, incurable disease. His time was limited. Margaret was devastated. She couldn't imagine life without him. But instead of giving in to despair, she made a promise to herself. She would make every moment count. She would cherish their time together, no matter how much time they had left. Margaret's love for Thomas didn't change. In fact, it grew even stronger. She made it her mission to make every day special, even though they both knew their time together was running out. She would bring him his favorite meals, read him the books he loved, and they would watch the sunset together every evening. They didn't talk about the future much. Instead, they focused on the present. The little moments became everything. And there was one thing Margaret did every single day. She would tell Thomas how much she loved him, not just once, but multiple times a day. "I love you, Thomas," she would say. "I will always love you." Those words became their daily ritual, a reminder that love, in its purest form, transcends time and circumstance. As the weeks went by, Thomas grew weaker. His once vibrant energy began to fade, and Margaret knew the inevitable was coming. She stayed by his side, never leaving him, holding his hand through every difficult moment. She knew that soon, she would have to say goodbye to the person who had been her entire world. And then, one night, as they sat together in the dim light of their bedroom, Thomas looked at Margaret, his eyes full of love and gratitude. He smiled weakly, and with a soft voice, he whispered, "Margaret, I've had the most wonderful life because of you." Tears filled Margaret's eyes as she gently kissed his forehead. "And I've had the most wonderful life because of you, Thomas." In that moment, they didn't need words. Their love was already understood. It was in every glance, every touch, every shared silence. And just as the first light of dawn began to peek through the window, Thomas passed away in Margaret's arms. His final moments were peaceful, filled with the love they had shared for over 5 decades. After Thomas's passing, Margaret was heartbroken. She had lost the love of her life, the person who had been her constant companion. But instead of succumbing to grief, she found strength in their love. She would often sit in their favorite spot, a bench by the window where they used to sit together and watch the sunset. Margaret continued to live her life, but she never stopped loving Thomas. His memory was with her every day. She would share stories about him with their children, telling them about the beautiful life they had built together. She would laugh and cry as she remembered their adventures, their struggles, and their quiet moments of happiness. And though Thomas was no longer physically by her side, his love still filled the house. It was in the way Margaret smiled when she remembered something funny he had said, in the way she still held onto the traditions they had built. Thomas's love never truly left her. It lived on in her heart, in the stories she told, and in the legacy they had created together. This story, though incredibly sad, is also a reminder of the incredible power of love. Margaret and Thomas's love didn't end with his passing. It lives on in the way she continues to honor his memory, in the way she cherishes the moments they had, and in the way she's taught her family what it means to truly love someone. Sometimes, love doesn't end with a person's death. It doesn't fade away. It stays with us, in our hearts, in the way we live our lives, and in the memories we carry. Margaret showed us that even in the face of loss, love can endure. It can continue to shape us, inspire us, and give us strength when we need it most. I know this story might have made you feel emotional, but I hope it also reminded you of something important. Love is the most powerful force in the world. It can heal, it can comfort, and it can last long after someone is gone. If this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Speak in English for more heartfelt stories like this one. In the comments below, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever experienced a love like Margaret and Thomas's? How did love shape your life? Let's continue this conversation together. Thank you for watching, and remember, love never ends,